Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the comedy drama film, American Pickle. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. In 1919, Herschel Greenbaum, Seth Rogen, starts excavating a ditch in Slupsk, a small town in Eastern Europe. His shovel breaks twice. First the handle comes off, then when he uses just the blade with his back against it, it splits lengthwise. He rides in a horse-drawn cart, neither exulting nor lamenting his lot. Sarah Snook, the fish vendor's table attendant, who claims to be too poor to purchase at those prices, captures his attention as he browses the market. Herschel doesn't waste any time in tripling his workload before giving the vendor a penny for his best fish and handing it to Sarah, who starts eating it right once and compliments Herschel. They start meeting frequently and eventually fall in love. The Cossack assault that left the town in ruins followed their wedding. Together, they set sail for America in the hopes of making a fortune that would allow Sarah to have her very own burial and Herschel to purchase seltzer water and enjoy the bubbles on his tongue. Herschel feels that being referred to as a dirty Jew is a blessing and is relieved that there are no Cossacks after going through Ellis Island immigration. They live in a tiny apartment in Brooklyn that has plaster peeling off the ceiling. Herschel, on the other hand, toils away in a pickle factory, where the owner would only hire him for a position that involved clubbing rats to death. They anticipate having a baby as they strive to live the American dream. In order for them to be interred side by side, Herschel also purchases a family plot, but he is still unable to afford seltzer water. One day, Herschel turns away from the colony of rats as they approach him. He falls into a vat of pickles when the wooden railing on the platform breaks way. The owner covers the pickle vat and tells everyone that the factory has been shut down. As the employees leave, Herschel is submerged in brine. The pickle vat's lid is taken off by two young boys who follow their drone inside the condemned structure 100 years later. Herschel suddenly sits up and screams as they stare into the pitch-black sea with cucumbers floating on the surface. The terrified boys flee. Herschel joins scientists at a national press conference while wearing white scrubs. They use statistics and figures to persuade a group of skeptic journalists that the pickle brine preserved him wonderfully and that despite 100 years having passed, he hasn't aged a day. Herschel is moved by the scientific exposition, but he is also saddened by the loss of everything he once knew or had. Despite the fact that Sarah had been deceased for 80 years, Herschel requests the researchers look again once a newspaper clipping with her obituary is discovered. 3 men hold him back after he hits the scientist in the nose. The scientist tells Herschel, who is restrained to an examination table, that they have located a living cousin who is Herschel's great-grandson and resides in Brooklyn. Ben Greenbaum, Seth Rogen, who is sent to pick up Herschel, is contacted by them. Herschel is amused by the soda maker in Ben's apartment, and Ben gives him milk that includes cows, almond, pea, and other varieties. Ben, a freelance app developer aiming to build BoopBop, a service that analyzes companies' ethics when buying their products, is unsure of what to make of it. Herschel is extremely emotional and confident that his progeny is strong and successful. He has no desire to find a family. Family and religion hold no significance or importance for him. They are absolutely everything to Herschel. Herschel is upset that there is a billboard there and that the gravestones of his relatives aren't even given a thought. They find Sarah's burial, which is outside the cemetery on a neglected plot of ground that is littered with trash and a billboard. His wife, son, and grandson, along with their wives, are interred there after a century. He confronts employees who had arrived to place a new advertisement on the billboard, accusing them of being Cossacks for not understanding modern protocol. Solving problems with hands that look like bare paws after digging trenches all day, he strikes the worker in the face with a rage-filled punch, knocking him to the ground with his clenched hands. Great-grandpa strikes Ben in the nose with a backhand punch as he attempts to control Herschel. Herschel lost control, and both of them ended up in jail. Herschel is even more motivated to earn $200,000 once they have been freed in order to purchase the grave plot, remove the billboard, and preserve the memory of his beloved Sarah and their children. Due to his criminal history, Ben loses his investor and is unable to release his software, BoopBop. He says Herschel is no longer needed and holds nothing back. Herschel takes to the streets with a promise to prove to Ben how foolish he is. He considers his options after learning that a cucumber costs 90 cents per piece. He digs through trash cans and gathers materials for a cart. After that, he keeps going and discovers abandoned cucumbers, a bag of salt, and strange glass jars with lids. He lays the jars on picnic tables in the park, adds cucumbers, salt, and lets them fill with rainwater without any understanding of or consideration for hygiene. He caps the containers and allows them to pickle. When the pickles are ready, Herschel starts selling them and they quickly become popular. A pair of youthful Generation Z clients find his outdated ways of thinking and accent fascinating, and they help him become an internet phenomenon as people line up to buy his pickles. Ben is riding in a taxi when Herschel calls him foolish. Herschel is also telling the audience in an interview that everything is made of garbage and that the rainwater he receives goes down the gutters, where it picks up nutrients like bird droppings and other animal parts. The health department shuts down Herschel's business until he gets everything up to code and pays taxes after Ben exits the taxi and phones in an anonymous complaint. The two people who support Herschel the most advise him to hire interns and work lawfully. In exchange for teaching them how to choose and pickle the cucumbers while following the law and wearing gloves, he hires a lot of young people to work for him in the park where he makes his home in a flimsy shelter he built from boards and other odds and ends. Clara, Molly Evanson, one of the interns, ends up working for him. When Ben notices the young intern selling jars of pickles outside his preferred restaurant, he is furious. Ben persuades Herschel to acquire a Twitter account and tweet whatever he feels and wants to say about anything after Herschel brags to Ben that the billboard is down. Ben is aware that Herschel's complete lack of subtlety will result in a PR nightmare. Herschel orders Clara to tweet whatever he wants, and he doesn't give a damn if she hesitates to share his politically incorrect opinions. Herschel notices a group of demonstrators in the park the next morning as he awakens, mistaking them for clients. Clara joins them this time and is carrying a sign. Now that Herschel is the target of protests and boycotts, the media interprets his actions as deliberate. He gains a political following as a result. Dr. Kim Eklund, Joanna Adler, a university professor, is the opponent in a debate in which Herschel takes part. Ben questions Herschel about his thoughts on Christian prayer in public schools while hiding his voice and appearance in the back row. The elder's response causes controversy, and after some investigation by the media, it is discovered that there are no records of his immigration from a century ago. His citizenship is withdrawn, and Herschel is given an order of deportation. Herschel, being Herschel, smashes through Ben's window and begs for one more favor, to transport him to Canada so he may start over there, freeing Ben from having to deal with him. They become more bonded during the vacation. When they arrive at the Canadian border's wooded area, they see Canadian police taking a break and hiding, but when Ben admits that he lured Herschel into a trap and turned him into the police, Great-Grandpa hits him in the nose and yells, drawing the officer's attention. Ben's rucksack is grabbed by Herschel, who then hides under a downed tree. There, he gets a razor, shaves off his facial hair, changes some of his clothes, and displays Ben's ID. Here, he introduces himself as Ben and points to his great-grandson, Herschel, to identify him. After that, Herschel is sent to Schlupsk, where it is extremely cold and no one knows English. One fellow who could understand him said that the synagogue is the only place where he would find safety. The elderly men invite him to join them in prayer in order to establish a quorum, and they provide him with warmth, a mattress, and simple bedding on the floor. He is captivated by the strange ritual and comes to understand and value the world his ancestors came from. Ben discovers his childhood stick figure sketch of his family on a piece of paper while looking through an old photo book in his Brooklyn apartment. He calls his mother Bop, his father Boop, and finally himself. Ben's decision to name his app after his parents reveals to Herschel that family did matter to Ben after all. When Herschel arrives in Schlupsk, he discovers Ben inside the synagogue. When they return to New York, Herschel brings him to the bench where he and Sarah used to sit, and they speak about working together to pickle various items and market them online for global distribution. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.